So if you guys are looking at my screen now, this is ZBrush. So as you guys start to get ZBrush, open it up, you're going to notice a few things about the interface. If you are opening it as default and nobody has messed with it, nobody's touched it, nobody's really done anything to it, then your panels and everything should look like mine. I try to make mine as vanilla as possible, so what I see is what you're seeing, right? Sometimes it's not going to be the same because ZBrush allows a very high level of customizability. So you can customize and move things around and dock things in different places, right? You can take your tools, move them over here. So you just need to be cognizant that what you're seeing might not be what I'm seeing. All right. So you can change your interface. You can move tools around. You can, so I just want you guys to know you might be seeing something, and this used to confuse me. I'm like, I don't see where you see that, but it might be a tool that's moved somewhere else. So for you guys, right, what you can do is if somebody's doing something on here, this is when you're watching a tutorial. It doesn't have to be my tutorial. If you see somebody doing something over here, there's a good chance that this tool right here, well, it's also up here. So if you don't see whatever you're looking for, right, there's usually backups for everything inside of ZBrush on this top bar. So everything corresponds from here to here. So if you see that they do something over here, just listen to what they say, right? Listen to what it is, and then look for it on your top toolbar right up there. All right. Let us give me 1 second. All right. So, what's the definition of character sculpting? The art of creating 3D characters by shaping, modeling, and refining digital clay or polygons. All right. In the real world, we would use clay, right? Clay to define. We have a wire armature, right, which is the underneath, which is like the wire frame of the character, and then usually they'll start loading clay or putty or whatever they're going to use to mold their character, an additive kind of property, right? So that's an additive way of sculpting, right? um, um, when you subtract, a subtractive way of sculpting would be the way that we used to do it, where, well, we probably still do it now, but the way old Renaissance guys used to kind of carve things out of marble, right? Instead of adding on to the marble, they're chipping away at the marble, right? So that's a kind of a subtractive way of sculpting, right? When you're thinking about sculpting in the traditional sense versus sculpting in the more new age, right? New age is you're using wire armature, and now the even further in the future, which is what we're doing here today, we are now sculpting with polygons, right? And it is kind of a mixture of both it's like the best of both worlds, because there are tools that allow you, like Z spheres, to kind of make an armature, right? And then add on to it by sculpting onto it like I'm doing right now, right? Kind of adding onto it. You see, it's even, right? The thing is, with sculpting, with a lot of these tools, they're based off the real deal sculpting, real world sculpting. So they do use those terms, additive, subtractive, right? I just talked about the different types of sculpting we do, which is you either add some clay or you can either chip away at the marble, right? So this is additive sculpting, or if I click on subtract, right, it'll subtract, it'll reduce, it'll take away from that. All right. So that is just adding and subtracting, or additive and subtractive kind of sculpting right there. So This is just a demo character that they have inside of ZBrush, right? So let's keep going. So the purpose of character sculpting is usually to bring characters to life for games, animation, and visual effects. Express some sort of artistic vision through digital sculpting tools. The end goal most of the times is something that's visually compelling for animation or rendering. There's a lot of different types of jobs that you can get in the industry. So depending on what your character is going towards determines the process that you're gonna do, right? And that's the beauty or kind of the double-edged sword of this field is that everything is kind of character sculpting, but the end result could change your process and your workflow, right? If I'm creating something for TV or movies, right, then I have a certain workflow that I go through, which is, all right, I'm not so concerned about poly count. I may be, but I'm not so concerned because, well, I've got infinite amount of resolution. I've got an infinite amount of pixels. I can do whatever I want. It's not a real time thing. It's not something somebody's gonna play, right? It's something that's gonna be rendered. So I can throw as many render hours as I want into these characters because it's gonna be animated on a screen, right? For video games, if your character's for video games, however, your process for going through and making that character is going to be different. You may start off the same, make a high poly, but then you're going through a whole nother process, creating a low poly character, unwrapping that, then baking the high poly onto the low poly so you can get that information from the high poly to the low poly and then use that as your final in-game mesh, right? So that's a different process for just games. Well, what if your characters are supposed to be 3D printed? Well, now that's a completely different process. Now you're doing the high poly. Well, you're not necessarily doing the low poly. What you're doing is kind of like a mid poly. Then you're cutting up the edges, making support joints. You're making holes that, and fittings for the arms, the pieces. You're making sure it's watertight and airtight so that you don't get weird things happening. You're not getting weird things hanging and dangling from your print. There's a lot of different ways and there's a lot of different ends that you're going to go through. There's even what if you're character sculpting or character modeling for advertising, right? Well, it's all, then the rules really, you can do whatever you want, you can pose them, break them up, do whatever you want. You don't even need a rig at that point, right? And that's some of the work I did, which for the company Picture Plane is, the characters that I worked with, it might look right to the camera, but if you look behind him, he looked janky and messed up, like his face is pulled back, the arm is like kind of like bent backwards, but in the camera's view, because it's one shot I'm trying to deal with, it looks perfectly right and the character looks like he's doing what he's supposed to. But if you just rotate the camera or go behind the character a little bit, it looks like, Baghdad back there. So that's character sculpting. There's so many use cases for it. There's so many end results for it. It's grown so much even since when I've started that it's important for you guys to understand that it's not just one thing. It's a lot. It can start off as one thing, but it can end in so many different ways, and those different ways determine your process, how you're going to think about it, what you're going to do, the moves you're going to make to get to where you're going to get to. So, it's simple. It's as simple as kind of identifying, all right, what's my end use for this? So, yeah. So, for this class, we're going to try to keep a lot of this focused on broad, simple shapes at first. We're going to block out the forms using basic geo, keep proportion in mind, keep our character anatomy balanced and believable. You've got to worry about accessories, details, all these little things like, The worst thing a person can do is, you know, I want to start a character, and the first thing I do is I fly right to the eye and start working on the eye wrinkle. Well, that's pretty useless, right? You know, that's not what you do. If I was going to work on a character, I don't work on something as, you know, I don't go like, let me work on the wrinkles when I've got a whole character to worry about. You know, there's just a process that you guys have to start to understand with some of this stuff is, you know, what students like to do is, because that stuff is fun. You know, like I understand why kids and students do it. Let me not say kids. I understand why students do it. It's like, it's fun, it's easy, it's like the jazzy part. You get to, you know, you get to get an alpha, you know, you can come in and start making some cool detail. Let me show, you know, you start adding some detail, make it look like he's got veins and stuff, and but you haven't gone through the entire process. So it's gonna look janky. It's not gonna look right. It's gonna look fake, false. It's gonna look like it's not gonna look layered properly, right? So we want to wait to detail and refine our characters till the very end. All right, we're gonna focus a lot on silhouette value, right? Because silhouette value is what makes our character look interesting. You can tell iconic characters based on their silhouette values. Let me see if I can help you guys understand. What I'm talking about when it comes to silhouette value. All right. So when I say silhouette value, this is what I mean. You guys can look at this. I can look at every single one of these characters based on their silhouette, and I know exactly what character that is. Right? Obviously, that's SpongeBob, that's Winnie the Pooh, and that's Sonic the Hedgehog. Right? You can look at, if you do your character silhouettes right, it's easy for you to tell what the character is. Some of these are a little harder to tell, but some of them, oh, I know instantly. If you do the silhouette right, oh, you can tell what characters they are, right? So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about silhouette value. This stuff is important because if you do it right, you can nail a character. You can put two ears and a circle, and everybody will know, oh, Mickey Mouse, right? So this is just the power of something as simple as silhouette value for you guys. All right. So we're going to focus on silhouette, and then we're going to iterate, right? Iterate. Don't be afraid to refine and adjust as you go, right? With you guys as students, here's the thing that I know it sucks. Getting critiqued from others, it sucks. But you have to understand that when you're getting critiqued, they're not critiquing you as a person. They are critiquing your artwork. They are not saying because your artwork is bad, you are bad. They're not saying because the artwork is currently bad that you are going to forever be a bad artist. That is not what they're saying. They are trying to make the current artwork better. I feel like I have to say that every time because there's going to be one student who feels like a critique on their work is a critique on their character, right? But it's not. You guys have to get thicker skin. We have to be able to talk to each other and say, hey, that looks like shit. That looks like garbage. All right, let's fix that right quick. How do we fix that? Why does that arm look funky? Why does that head look like that? We should be able to have that conversation and you not feel like I'm trying to degrade you as an artist. I'm not. That's not, I don't get anything from that. What I gain from is you understanding that this is why it looks wrong. This is why it is wrong. And this is why we need to fix it. All right. So that's pretty much my little rant on critiques. You're going to get critiqued from your classmates. You're going to critique from your instructors. You're going to get critiqued from a lot of people. It's okay. It's okay. Remember, nobody can critique you as hard as you're probably critiquing yourself. So keep, Just keep it moving. You're just getting better as an artist. All right. So there's a lot of things that you need to understand about character sculpting and character modeling, like gathering concepts, creating base meshes, block out, refining, detailing, final touches, all that stuff. And that's part of what we're going to go through in this class. I'm also going to go through different types of brushes, symmetry tools, subdivision levels, masking. These are the essential, things that you guys need to know regardless of whatever software you're using, right? Because that's kind of what it's going to take. It's taking real life, sculpting processes, and it's trying to mimic them in digital form. So we'll go through a lot of those processes, and hopefully you guys understand that. And then we'll go through a lot of anatomy. I'm going to have you guys draw anatomy because drawing it helps you understand it a little better as well. So I'm going to have you guys draw it, try to hammer it home, and then you guys are going to sculpt it. Draw it, sculpt it, draw it, sculpt it till it's like you understand it like the back of your hand. All right. So we're going to focus on major forms, balance, flow, and we're going to try not to, I've told you guys, I'm going to try to overcomplicate anything at all. I'm going to try to simplify things down into their simplest forms, because the simpler you go, the easier it is for you to understand. And then you can start to stack more complex shapes, forms, and details on top of it. All right. So here are some, just like we've been talking about this, but some common mistakes to avoid. Don't jump into details very early. Like I said, don't start a character and then start jumping into detailing wrinkles on his forehead. That's not gonna fly. That's not gonna work. You're gonna be working backwards, and you're gonna be mad when your result isn't as good as you think it is. All right. Don't ignore your reference and rely on memory. All right. You think you know what it looks like, but you really don't. Even the phrase that I just used, know it like the back of your hand. I guarantee you don't know anything. Like if I told you to draw your hand right now, I guarantee you would get it wrong. Right? If I told you to take pen to paper and draw what your palm looks like, the imprint of your palm without looking at it, you would get it wrong. It would look weird, and it's yours, and you've had it with you. So how do you, who doesn't know what your own hands look like when you draw it, how are you supposed to know what a skull looks like, what arms look like, what bones, a skeletal structure look like? How are you supposed to know what it looks like without reference when you don't even know what your own hand looks like and can't draw it from reference? All right, so that's why reference is super important, because the things we think we know, we don't know. Our memory isn't as good as we think it is. So reference is there to fill in the gap and do the difference. So don't overcomplicate shapes at the start either. Start with a simple box, a simple sphere, right? You don't need a dodecahedron, right? Like none of that is necessary, right? You just need a sphere, a square, a cube, a triangle. You need the basic shapes, right? A lot of this stuff is just basic shape. I promise you a lot of this stuff is just basic shapes. All right. So, and remember, anatomy reference. If what you do is for the first day of class, you go into that anatomy folder too, and you download all of those images so you have them to make a board for yourself, that's a great idea, right? Things like that will help you when you're learning about anatomy, you're learning character sculpting and different things like that. All right. So I use, the class is mainly ZBrush, but I also use 3ds Max to block out different things. 3ds Max is a program made by Autodesk. You are not, I repeat, you are not required to have a different modeling package or anything. I'm just letting you guys know that this is what I use to sometimes get my base mesh ready or do simple things in 3D. You don't have to do this. You don't have to know this, right? If you do, there is a free version of 3ds Max called Blender. if you want to learn Blender alongside to use to make base meshes and different things like that, or you know Blender, I will not stop you. I will not be opposed to it. That is your prerogative. I just want you to know that that is what I will be using. You're more than free to use whatever else you want to use alongside of ZBrush. All right. Everything we do, however, can be done inside of ZBrush. I don't want you guys to get like, oh, there's stuff you can. You can do everything I'm going to do inside of 3ds Max as well inside of ZBrush. I just feel I do a little faster in 3ds Max. All right. So the industry standards are pretty much ZBrush, Max, Maya, Mudbox, and things like that. So that's what people use in the industry. They cost money. You guys should have access to a copy of ZBrush for free. For free. This class should be giving you a copy of ZBrush for free. All right. If you don't have it, I have posted a link to how you request IT support. Ask the people in what's that one building that has. There's a building at Richland that has where you can go to the IT building. It's like the computer building, the game building or whatever, right? There's that little office in there with the glass that you can see through where the computer lab is. They can usually help you with getting that license and stuff. Or you can call them as well. So you should have ZBrush. Nobody should be paying for ZBrush. I want to reiterate that. I want to say that to you. If you don't have it right now, well, you can get a trial copy of it. It'll last 14 days, right? And you can do your assignments on it till you get the final copy. Do not purchase ZBrush. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but I'm going to say it one more time. Do not purchase the ZBrush. All right. There's also Sculptress, which is made by the creators of ZBrush. It's all under the parent company Maxon, but Sculptress is free. Sculptress is free. ZBrush is not. So if you want a free sculpting software after the class that you don't have to pay for, look to Sculptress. There's also one called, I think, OpenGL or something, but I know Sculptress for a fact works because I have personally used Sculptress. All right. Let's see. Yeah. So here's, some general advice for you guys in general when it comes to sculpting in general. Try to sculpt at least 15 minutes a day. Use real life anatomy and objects. Sculpt real things. Watch tutorials and follow along, and don't, join a community. Be part of a community. Give feedback, support, and you will grow faster than you think if all you do every day is just practice 10 to 15 minutes a day sculpting something. Just grab a sphere, start throwing some clay on it, sculpt a face, sculpt a nose, sculpt a water bottle, look all around your table, see the things around you, right? The idea is for you to become a better sculptor in general. I'm not here to teach you to be a software user. The software you should learn on your own. Most softwares you're gonna learn on your own, right? Like that's you do the what I can help you get better at is the sculpting, which is what you should want to get better at. All right. Software changes every 6 months. That's why, what I teach you, I want you to be able to apply to, if you go to Sculptress, if you go to Mudbox, if you go to any other engine, you should be able to sculpt in that engine, not be like, oh, it's not ZBrush. I can't do it because it's not ZBrush. So yeah. Let's see. So for your first assignment, just remember, you guys should all also look through your threads if you haven't gotten a chance to. All right, click through your threads, because whenever we get here, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through your threads to talk about the previous assignment that we just did. All right, I'm going to check every day. This is where you let me know, hey, I'm having trouble with this. This is where you let me know, hey, this is what I did last week. This is what I did last night. This is what Give me some feedback. This is where I come to check your work, and we give each other feedback here. Everybody, if you don't see your name in here, let me know so I can add you to this. But this is how I pretty much go through everything. I'm going to try to participate along with you guys as well. I'll post my stuff. I'll show you how to post as well. That's another thing that I want to go through is how to post your work. Right? That's very, very, very important. How to post your work is very important. All right? So, let me see. So, whenever you post your work, all right, I want to do this on the first day this time, because last time I waited till like after the first week. Not this time. All right? When you post your work, all right, you're going to post the reference image of what you're modeling. You're going to put your name, last name, the class, I spelled reference wrong, and work in progress of what it is. I think I made this in Sculptress, but this is how I want you guys to post, minus the spelling errors, right? This is large images, minimal gray background. I want to see the work, right? The idea is for me to see what you worked on. I'm not here to see gray space, right? If I wanted to see gray space, I'll just click it on Photoshop. I'm here to see the work that you did. So I need you to make it as big as possible so I can see all the little nooks and crannies and all, organize it in a way that's visually appealing so that I can look at the reference. Okay, did he nail this? Did she nail that? That's what I'm trying to do. So this is how I want you guys to post your reference. I'm going to copy this image and I'm going to post it here. All right, so this is how you guys should post. So if you guys have any questions on how you should post, just look at my thread. This is what it should look like. All right. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions for me so far?
Yes. Where do I go to download ZBrush for free?
There should be what's it called? It's like you guys should have an access point that allows you to download it. Let me see. I think one of our students has posted in resources right here.
Okay.
If you watch the video, all right, so this is through how to request that access to it.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Are we meeting here every week around 12 to 1
Yes,
on Tuesday?
It's Mondays and Fridays. Tuesdays are usually lecture days, and I'll usually let you know Monday if there's going to be a lecture for
Okay.
Tuesday. Yeah. So Mondays and Wednesdays. Is that what it is? Is it Mondays and Wednesdays or Mondays and... I want to say Mondays and Thursdays. I don't remember. I sent it to you guys. Just check the calendar. It's either Mondays and Thursdays or Mondays and Wednesdays. No, it's Mondays and Thursdays. And then Tuesday's lecture. Yeah, Thursday. Sorry.
Is attendance going to be checked in for the Mondays and Thursday class?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason is just so you guys have an understanding. The reason is Monday, I want you guys to get really fresh information. And then on Tuesday, if I have a lecture for you, we can kind of go over what you went for on the previous day And then on Wednesday, you guys should have free time to work on it by yourself so that on Thursday, you can come back to me with any issues you have so that by Friday, you guys are resolved and you can work over the weekend to be ready for Monday. That's how I kind of think about the class. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions about the stuffs?
Go.
I got ZBrush ready.
Oh, you do already? Awesome. Has anybody used ZBrush before?
Wait, let me share my screen. How do I do that?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Let me see your screen. I can see your screen.
Alright, is this ZBrush? Okay.
Oh, cool. You already customized it.
Oh, no, do I need any experience in ZBrush in order to do this class? Because I only have like 3 months.
No, you don't need crazy experience. You don't need any experience whatsoever. This class is kind of like it's a beginner course. It's sculpting. You're gonna learn basic characters. We're gonna do a bust of a character.
Alright then, we're gonna learn about retopology.
Yeah, we're gonna do a little retopo, but the class is so short that I can only get to about you guys modeling the character. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that I include a lot of like body part modeling and stuff like that. So you guys focus on different body parts. So you're sculpting those parts, and then we get to put them together at the end for one character.
Alright, we're also gonna learn about posing because I don't know about that.
Yeah, posing, rendering, and stuff like that. We're gonna cover all of the aspects generally in a broad sense, but we're not gonna be able to focus on it because a lot of it, I mean, it's really intensive stuff, So, I'm gonna give you guys a basic overview of it and the general parameters. All right, yeah. So you've done a little sculpting before.
Wait, no, a lot still.
In
I did use
surfaces.
Blender before. God. Oh, whatever then. Just share. There we go.
Cool. Well, it was nice meeting you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys on Thursday. Let me see. Let's make sure you guys don't have.
Professor, I have a question. This is James.
What's up, James?
Are we required to attend the lectures?
What was that?
Are we required to attend the lectures?
You are required to attend at least one a week, just for attendance purposes. But I will be recording all of the lectures for the class, and I'm posting them on that link. So you won't miss a class, but for attendance purposes, you do want to show up for at least one a week.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
A lot of people. I mean, the reason is it's not for me. It's because a lot of people's aid and different things like that require them to have a certain level of attendance for the student aid and stuff to go through. So you don't want to be faulty on
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
And I just got one last question. Is our first assignment just getting familiar with ZBrush? It says assignment 2, introduction to ZBrush.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For attendance purposes, what if one has to work on that day or has another class on that day, like a physical class?
That's fine. Just check in with me. Let me know. Let me know what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, I got class. I got this, and I'll be able to mark you in.
Mondays and Wednesdays, what time is the lecture happening?
Mondays and Thursdays, noon to 1.
Noon to 1? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I think.
All right. Let's see.
Huh, that's funny. I already bought that Udemy course.
All right. Well, if you guys don't have any more questions, you guys are free to go for the day. Remember, what you're doing this week is just familiarizing yourself with ZBrush. For those who already understand it, well, get ready because we're gonna dive in on Thursday with some sculpting, some lectures, and yeah, we're gonna go from there. Sound good?
Wait, when is the next lecture?
Thursday.
Thursday, what? At the same time?
Yes, sir. Noon to 1.
Okay.
Appreciate it, Professor.
Alrighty, guys. Have a good rest of your day. I will talk to you soon. Hey, stay warm,
Hey.
y'all. Stay warm. Go Commanders.
You too.
You ready for this Sunday?
Hey, you know it. You know it. You know it. Eagles are going down.
Take that.
Thank you,
Take care.
Professor.
Later.
All right. See you, Professor. Good luck Sunday.